You know, I'm saluting too, man. I'm not on screen, but I'm saluting. God damn it!
I know you are. That's why I did it. Yo, what's going on, man? Welcome to the Chris Joe and Devo show, or Devo and Chris Joe, however, whatever you want to call it. We in this together, so it doesn't matter. You don't got the video version of Chris Joe today, only the audio. My man is he's stuck in traffic, so we good though. But welcome on my guy Alan Griffin, Coach Griff. This is second time coming on. We kind of went over more about him the first time. Now we're gonna get into the Syracuse season, these young fellas. But first, Griff. I mean, shit, I think this is damn near your 20th season or so. I don't know the exact number, but you've been coaching for a long time, bro. What's kind of like your mindset from the beginning into now, and how has that changed? You know what I mean, going with the coaching.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy, E, and Chris, good morning. It's crazy, one of those things where, you know, especially when I was young in the business, I would, like, right around this time, I would be antsy, and antsy to doing whatever. Like, I would be very, you know, wanting to play games and see, you know, us perform in front of in front of a crowd. Whereas to now, you know, as I get older, you know, those practices are precious, like, you know, and just being around the guys a lot and taking in those moments, you can't take for granted. And as I get older, those are you know, that's the environment that I love to be in and day out, and just to see a team grow and get better, regardless of wins and losses. There's a lot of growth that goes in the end of a year, and that's where I really enjoy, especially as I get older in the business.
The disembodied voice of Chris Joe. I saw.
I'm here. Yeah, that's funny, Jordan.
Yo,
that's funny.
Yo, Griff,
So,
how is your approach different though? Like, you know, it's from when you're younger till now, like on the coaching side of things, like how you're teaching the players, like your mindset going into a new season.
You know, it's crazy. Throughout the years, you gain a lot of confidence as a coach, and that you can do. It's like the one thing about me is I've coached every position in college, but I'm coaching the centers now. I coached forwards back when I was at Providence and St. Francis, and forwards in the guards, and then when I was at the University of Dayton, I coached the guards specifically. You know, my patience have, you know, grown a lot. You got to be patient, especially when you're dealing with bigger guys. But I actually got a little bit meaner, like, you know what I mean, throughout the years, because you know, like, you know me, I'm a quiet guy, I'm a laid back guy. But
Right.
you know, when you get in between the lines, even when I started here, I had Pascal, and I was very, you know, tentative with him, you know, because one, I wanted him to really understand me, but also to kind of get what coach is saying, and coach can be tough sometimes. So I wanted to be the opposite, in which I found sometimes that can be very conflictive to the kid, because I didn't want the kid to think that me and coach wasn't on the same page. We were, like, you know what I mean? And I was just as upset at him for what he's done if he did something wrong in the situation. So I started to, you know, get a little bit angrier as the years go by. I think that's what comes with old age. You know what I mean?
hey, fellas. So today, you know, Coach Griff, I don't know if you know, but I'm the head coach of a prep program out here right outside of Montreal now. So I'm on the sidelines now, and very often, whether it's before practice, after practice, I gotta hit him with something. I don't know what it's gonna be, but every day at the end of practice, I give him something, whether it's a quote off the top. I feel like I'm top 5 dead or alive. I'm off the top with it every time. I don't know what I'm gonna say, but I say something and it resonates. And oftentimes, as a coach, I feel like, damn, am I being too hard on them? Is it too much? And then today, I found, just scrolling, it was crazy because I was just thinking about it, and I seen a quote saying, like, and it had a couple different bullet points, but it said hard coaching equals love. And in a couple of the bullet points means, like, even when you think a coach is being annoying, it's because he wants to, get the best out of you. And he knows, as a kid, they don't know their max potential. Because you, as a coach,
Right.
you've seen it. You played at
Right.
Syracuse, you played professionally. So where do you agree with hard coaching is just tough love? Or is it too much of that? Is there a fine line? Is there something like a line that you can't cross when trying to get your point across as tough coaching?
Yeah, you know what, Chris? That's great because you kind of, as a coach, find yourself in that pickle, pretty much every day, depending
Yeah.
on the player, because each player is different. You got to treat them different,
Yeah.
because they're their own player. But the one thing that somebody always said to me a long time ago is at the end of the day, regardless of what, you got to be yourself. And I think if you yourself are a hard coach, you're gonna hard coach with love. If
Yes.
you're a quiet coach, you're gonna quiet coach with love. Like, you know what I mean? So I think at the end of the day, you have to be yourself. But you sometimes you got to be able to step outside your box to get your point across. And I think that
Yes.
later on, because it's a different player. Some players like tough coaching because that's how they
Right.
feel that coach feels them. So I think first and foremost, I think again you got to be yourself, but then you got to be able to step outside your box a little bit and make those tough calls and make those tough decisions because it's one of those things where you got to try to reach kids by any means necessary. I like the pick that they just put up with Chris Joe too, by the
Yeah, I
way.
know. This dude's crazy, man. Hey Griff, has it ever been like a time in your coaching career where you didn't feel like you were able to reach the kid or get across to him? Like you said, you got to be. It was important what you said. Like you got to step outside your box because, like you said, every kid's different. So you might have to approach it differently. I can't approach him like he can take this more yelling. This guy he might a little softer approach. But was there ever a kid that you took all those different approaches, but you couldn't seem to get through to him?
Definitely, it happens every year. And
Yeah.
it happens more often than you think because, like, my thing is that I want to make sure that I can at least reach one kid. If I reach one kid throughout that year, like that I've done my job. You know what I mean? But again, yeah, definitely, you're gonna come across kids that's just it doesn't it doesn't mesh. But at the same time, you still gotta have the respect factor for that kid. And if you have that, that kid will always have the respect factor for you. Again, coaching is so many ways of coaching and so many things into coaching that at the very end of the day, you're not going to reach everybody, but within what you do every day, if there's a level of respect, you'll always be able to have that more so than you being able to teach them whatever you're trying to teach them, get them to understand whatever you're trying to understand. But yeah, to answer your question, I come across that more times than reaching a kid.
It's harder than
Now,
people think, though. My fault. Go ahead,
yeah.
Joe.
So just on that same topic, and for the people listening, could you kind of just give a brief explanation of how important an assistant coach's job is, being that bridge between player and head coach? Because they might not all know that, maybe not all players have the greatest of relationships. And I'm not talking about Syracuse, just for the ones listening, have the greatest relationship with their head coach. And the assistants is who they usually have a better rapport with because that's who recruited them.
Absolutely.
That's who they feel more comfortable with. The parents feel more comfortable, right? So how important is it for you? Because sometimes a kid might be having like a shitty week or he might not play. And he's going to fall back and it's going to be to the assistant that he's going to go complain to or express his concerns or frustrations more so than the head coach. So how important is it your job to kind of keep that kid, level headed, let them
Engage.
know it's okay. You know what I mean? So how
Yeah,
important is
engaged.
that
Yeah.
part? Engaged, yep.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important. That's another good question, and I would love to answer that one. And how important an assistant coach is everything to a program. To be honest, head coaches got so many
Facts.
responsibilities that a lot of people don't see behind the scenes. And me, I'm very fortunate to been able to work for a lot of really good head coaches. But what really stands out to me is that my office is next to Coach Boeheim's, right? So every day when I walk in the office, every day when Coach walks into the office, we see each other. If I'm there first, I see him walking in and vice versa. But the one thing that, when Coach comes in, he has right before he walks in his office, he has a list of a lot of the things, and he'll go over his schedule with Kelly. And given that stuff and how important that stuff is to our program, he can't always form the best of relationships with every player because it's going to be a lot on his plate. Yeah, he can have
No
relationships with
question.
every player. So, I mean, me looking at that as an assistant coach, I'm like, okay, my job is to make sure that, you know, our guys, the quality of life first and foremost is there. And what I mean by quality of life is making sure that, one, they're eating, they're doing all the stuff that they need to do in the classroom. We got a group of guys. So I work with the center. So those guys are my guys. So, one, I try to make sure that they're eating every day, but also two, I watch film and the stuff that we get from our meetings from Coach. I make sure that I relay that message to the players so that they know that me and Coach are always going to be on the same page.
No
It
doubt.
doesn't. We're on the same page now. It's ways of us sending out the message, but first and foremost, we are on the same page. We are locked in together. So, you know, you need to understand what the message is. So being an assistant coach is very important because again, like it's not like after 5 p.m. my day is over. It's not a 9 to 5 job. You get
24/7.
called. It's 24/7. You get kids
24/7,
calling
you
you.
on call.
Joe, you get kids calling you at 11 o'clock at night, frustrated about, practice, and they felt like coach has been too hard on them. And you get that. I was that guy. I'll tell you a funny story. So I started at the point of my senior year, and one of the first games I played, I had about 6 turnovers in the game, starting point. So I called Coach Hop at about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I said, Coach Hop, blah blah blah. I feel bad. I'm down. And Coach Hop said, you know what? Call Coach Boeheim right now. Just call him, and then he'll talk to you. So I called Coach Boeheim right after that, and I said, "Hey, Coach, I feel bad." He said, "Griff," he said, "Don't worry about it. We won the game. Let's go get back to practice. Let's work hard." And you know what? Just that simple confidence and Hop telling me to call Coach at that time. That's just one of those things where it's just feel like you know what I mean. And as a good assistant, you got to have a good feel for a lot of the stuff.
You a
So
damn psychiatrist. You
you
you a
are.
psychiatrist.
No
For real,
doubt, no
bro.
doubt.
It's so much more than basketball. Dealing with human beings and like kids at that age where they're really being by themselves for the first time and handling shit kind of on their own. So like, yo, bro, I know like when I was playing in Chris Joe, I know all of us like. They was helping me get stuff from my apartment, stuff that you wouldn't need, like just little simple shit like that people wouldn't, the average person wouldn't even think about that you need to do for those kids. You know what I mean? It's so much more than basketball, yo.
If you think about it this way, like when my oldest son was born, because I was a sophomore in college, and I had my oldest son while I was in college, 23 years ago, 24 years ago, whatever it is. Like the first person who saw my son was Coach Hopkins, outside of me and his mom. But that's a good. But that's how important your role is as an assistant coach is because I didn't have family up here, so the first person I called was Hop. And he was
Yeah.
there at the hospital, with me with a thing of flowers, and it's just one of those things where that's your role. You got to be able to wear so many
Yeah.
hats as an assistant you know, it's just one of those things that you just got to do.
Yo, Griff, I want to go into talking about a few guys on this year's team, specifically Jesse Edwards. I actually had him on my podcast last week. First of all, the kid, what a great kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, just it seems like he's grown a lot too. Like personality wise, he's a little bit more personable, talking a little bit more. But kind of talk about his maturation through the years. And now for real, like I even told him on the podcast, he's really worked himself into an NBA player. Like he's kind of like a JaVale McGee type, a guy that can run up and down. He could run the floor. He could, block shots, disrupt shots at the rim and finish at the rim. And I think he'll just continue to get better and, as he plays and gets more experience. But talk about his maturation, through the years and how important he will be for you guys this year.
I'll speak, from where he is now all the way to back to when we first saw him. Jess is, he's probably about 10 to 15 pounds stronger than he was last year. So, dealing with that many pounds and getting him to still play the way he played, it's still a work in progress, but he's been doing a great job in practice. And you can tell, from a physical standpoint that he's starting to kind of get it a little bit. The one thing that we can say right now, as a staff, is that we want him to rebound more, especially offensively. But at the same time, he's doing a phenomenal job cleaning up some stuff on the glass and just being that leader, especially in my group with the young freshmen and the sophomore that we got. So he's an old man now, which is crazy to say, because his years have been so fast, and I think we just turned the corner last year, because you knew his first 2 years, you knew he had something in him. You knew he had some talent that could be really, but he had to get stronger physically.
The end of that sophomore year, Griff. The end of that against Miami, when he got like 10, 15 minutes, but you could see it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if that was the end of his sophomore year, right?
Oh, yeah. That was and that was one of those things where it kind of clicked to him to say, like, I can do it, and then the junior year he was just. He just he came into his own physically, and a lot of what Jesse's thing is him physically, but also to him upstairs, not thinking too much, not trying to put too much pressure on himself, like just going out there playing and letting the game actually come to him. You'll see it from time to time where he would go into making a move regardless of what the defense is doing, like, you know what I mean, and that's when and that's me knowing him throughout the years, where I can coach him and say, hey, Jess, listen, just let it come naturally. Let it happen. Get to your spot, do this. And if they cut you off, do something else, go to your counter. So, sometimes he'll get in his own head. But to get back to Jess, in terms of throughout his years, his maturation throughout his years, man, it's like night and day. And a lot of it came from just physically being able to play at this level.
Shout out to Ryan Kabilis, man.
Shout out Ryan Kabilis.
Shout out Ryan Kabilis, no doubt.
Big shout out. And the great thing about when you said about Jesse is this. I remember when Jesse and his parents came, and you know how you doing a tour and you showing them everything on an official visit, and I pointed at Jess and I pointed at Ryan Kabilis and I said, yo, this has to be your best friend. He's going to be the one that's going to get to where you need to get to so that you're competing at a high level here. And he took that upon himself. So him and Ryan are connected at the hip. I think they talk more than I do, me and him. You know what I mean? So shout out to the kid and obviously Ryan, who does a phenomenal job with Jess.
Yo, that's
No
how it
doubt.
is in the league too. Chris Joe, tell me if I'm wrong. Like those guys are super close with the strength and conditioning guys, man.
Yeah,
Like
because you
always,
spend a lot of
or the
time with them. You
trainers.
spend a lot of time. Yeah, no question. You spend time. It's in Boston, like KG and the masseuse was a European Russian dude named Vlad. You know what I mean? And that was his
Always
man. Like
Vlad.
on the road, Vladimir. You know what I mean? So there was, they were good friends, like you said, the strength and conditioning coaches, all those guys, because they play an important role, keeping your body together, making sure that you're straight
Hell yeah.
to play an 82 game season in college, a 30 plus game season. You got to understand the importance of taking care of your body. And I believe that kids these days have a better understanding of, strength and conditioning and the importance of it. So maybe they come in with knowing with the knowledge of how important it is. A lot of times when you're growing up, well, you have talent, you're not thinking about the weight room so often, so the fact that you're able to have that rapport with the
Right.
strength and conditioning guys is huge. But on the same pace of, we spoke about Jesse, I want to know from your standpoint, it's still very, very early in the season. I guess you guys been kind of going for, however long it's been now, 2 weeks, 3, I'm not sure. Who has been the biggest surprise, if it, like, in a sense, where who you have as a recruit? You guys are all in the know of who's coming to school, so you have the kids from Oak Hill, you got Chris coming in. So who to you, seeing them live every day, has been like, okay, wow, I didn't know he had this in his game, or I didn't know he was capable of that?
Oh wow. The kid that's the biggest surprise to me has to be our freshman point guard, Judah Mintz. I'll be honest.
That's what's up, Judah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
like
had those
I
expectations
didn't.
too, kind of.
Oh yeah, and the crazy thing about him is that he got so much more improving to do, especially at the position. But in terms of just raw talent and ability to, get stuff done, he's a head above shoulders than what I would what I expected him to
Yeah,
doing.
that's what's up.
Yeah, I honestly, I thought, he'd be a talented kid that'll, have his struggles, which they all as freshmen does. But like, it's some stuff that he do in practice, and you be like, you got to kind of take a step back.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
yo, like, so he on a break. I don't know what it was, what happened. Somebody cut him off. My man did a 360 layup. But I'm what's going on here? And Chris, it was natural. Like, it wasn't like he was
Yeah,
it was just a reaction that
instinctual,
happened.
instinct.
Yeah,
Yeah, he reacted to
instinctually.
the. Yeah,
And a
that's
lot
what's
of
up.
his stuff, like when you guys get to see him, play with this team, instinctually, you're gonna be like, you're gonna look at it and be like, he just really tried, but that's just him. Like
Yeah,
the things that happen,
Fearless.
and very fearless, very fearless.
Yeah. He a
And
dog.
yes, he's definitely an alpha too. He's an alpha, and he let it be
that's what's
known.
up.
Love that.
He let it be known since day one. He's here, to play and to win, and that's the way he compete every day. So
Yeah. That's
which
so he ain't gonna
which
be
is
here very long, like that then, because if he playing like that, it's just the reality of it.
yeah, potentially, yeah. Potentially, yes. He got it. Obviously, the one thing that he can really improve on is his jump shooting ability, but it's not far off. It's like
He'll knock that
two or
bitch
three
down
reps.
right now.
No doubt, no doubt. It's like two or
Yeah.
three reps from being consistent. Like knocked
Right.
down. So, but to
That's
answer your
good. That's good
question,
to hear.
it'll definitely be Judah. Yeah.
That's good.
Who
That's
does
great
he
to hear.
remind you of, Griff? Who does his sorry, Chris? Who does his game remind you of? Either like anyone, like or somebody like it was past Syracuse guy, whoever.
Ooh, yeah, I think I could put a little combination together. Can I put a little combination
Yeah.
together? All
A
Yeah.
right.
little stew, a little
I
gumbo.
I, I honestly I, I honestly think like he got like some of like Johnny's explosiveness, Johnny Flynn.
Oh shoot.
In terms
Oh
of
boy.
his change of speed, his his explosiveness, his ability to play above the rim. But in terms of like shot making, I think he like sometimes around the rim is like you, like you know what I mean. In terms of your ability
Ooh,
to finish,
I can finish
you
that
know what I mean.
motherfucker.
Yeah, man. Like, listen, there's not a play in terms of being able to use both hands and finish around the rim like that I've been around consistently and through regards traffic or whatever it was, that there's nobody who did it better than you. You know what I mean? And I think Judah got a little bit of that in terms of his ability to finish in the lane with kind of crafty shots and layup making stuff. So yeah, I would
He
say
way
just
more
to come.
athletic. He way fucking more athletic than me.
Yeah, yeah, he's explosive like Johnny. He got a little, he got a little
Ooh.
explosive. Yeah.
I tell you what,
So,
Johnny was so cold. That's like people don't understand, and I say it all the time. If he didn't get hurt with that hip, oh man, he an all-star, right? Especially right now, how the game is. Like he was so explosive and so fast, but IQ was on like 10. Like he knew where guys had to be and where
Yeah,
for real.
but
yeah, yeah.
and I would say that separation between Judah and Johnny, where Johnny was in terms of his basketball knowledge, he was beyond his years. So
Real
I
cerebral
would,
with it. Real cerebral.
yeah, yeah, very.
No doubt.
Nah,
So
man,
so
Griff, I'm not gonna
coach is
lie.
kind of gonna go ahead, Joe.
He
Sorry.
got some good. You know, what I'm saying, Coach got some. Some good problems to have. You guys. I'm excited for this
All
season
right.
just because Joe maybe could be off the ball where we've seen him more comfortable towards the end of the season. Have someone else
Yes.
handle the ball pressure and things of that nature, where he could be in his natural state where he was, what is he, the leading scorer in upstate New York or New York, whatever it is, history, whatever it is for him. So I'm excited for the season, man, and it's just seeming like everything's coming together. Jesse coming back healthy. We got the good incoming freshmen, which we know that coming in, one or two of them would probably have to start this year. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see how everything comes out, how everything turns out. I'm sure you guys have high expectations going into the season as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, Joe. And the great thing about Joe is this, moving Joe back over to the two. He's such a happier kid. You know what I mean? Like
Right. You can
he's a
see.
happier kid.
Yeah.
He's just in this and things that he's doing now is just naturally it's no thought process. It's like, hey, listen, I'm out here to put the ball in the basket. Like I ain't,
Yeah,
I got to make the right basketball play, but I'm erring on the side of being aggressive. And I think God given everybody stays healthy. Like Joe, he could be one of the top scorers in not the ACC but the country. That's he has that ability. And
Yeah.
and this team is going to need him to put the ball in the basket the way he can. So I think those two things, that's together, it'll be a good remedy for our team. And nobody's better than putting a guy like that in position to being successful than coach. You guys know that. You guys are
facts.
He gonna
even
let you rock.
more. He let you rock, and Joe's gonna have that behind him and pushing him to going out to score. So I think our team is gonna be, we're gonna be good. We're gonna surprise some people. Yes, we're young, but being young nowadays, the experience that these kids
Exactly.
come in now is different. Is real different. They playing at a high level in the summertime, and they playing 80 games. Like what I mean, at a high level.
Right.
So it's not even close to the incoming freshmen that we're used to seeing, especially from back when I played to now. And these guys are more talented. They're a lot more ready in terms of their game experience, and
Body.
we'll see their body, athleticism, and skill. There's a skill now, man.
Yeah.
Crazy, the crazy are skilled, and now we just gotta kind of mold them into being a basketball team. And again, we got one of the best to ever do it here in terms of molding a team together and putting a really good product out and coach. So I think the future is bright.
Yeah, that's
Hey
what's
Griff,
up.
I'm thinking about last year's team compared to this year's team, and it's really night and day as far as like playmakers go, and having guys' ability to kind of create on their own. How crucial is that for you guys? Because we all know, our great Syracuse teams, when anything breaks down, you just that guy who can get it and go ahead and make a play. So how crucial is for that this season? Because having young guys, and sometimes the execution is not going to be there, so it might break down. You need guys to be able to go get it off the rip and get a bucket.
Yeah, definitely. That's very crucial, especially for this team here, because the one great thing about last year's team is that we had so many veterans that been through the fire, and that they were better at executing what we did, and and regardless if it
Right.
worked or if it didn't,
They had to.
that's what it was. They had to, and whereas this year's team is that we got a couple guys down that can go out there and create and make plays, which could be the difference in what we need to kind of move forward from the disappointing year that we had last year. But the two teams are so different. But the best thing about both teams is that you will always, as a coach, I'm excited to go to practice every day. And why I say last year, we had a bunch of blue collar guys that just worked. They put their head down and they worked. Regardless of the situation, we could have lost 3 games in a row. I knew on that day, that next day for practice, our guys came to work. And that's, as a coach, with no heads down, that's a great feeling, because you know what? You can truly know that these guys care and they want to win, Whereas to this year, the competition is at another level in terms of, every day, guys are going at each other. There's a lot of talking, amongst the guys.
That's fun, man.
But it's fun. It's and so now it's like you going into that with an excitement as a coach, like, oh man, these guys are getting after it, So it's fun, and I had such a ball with the last year's team and this year's team as well thus far. So playing time hasn't been distributed yet, so that can play into it a little bit. But I just think that we got a good group of guys that really, really love being competitive, and it's just a fun environment to go into every day.
Now, you touched on that piece, and of course, we don't want to talk too much about last year's team, but we have to make one of the biggest, I guess, knocks on last year's team was the lack of athleticism. Going into this year, you already mentioned, we had Joe at the one, who probably could maybe slap sponge on backboard, right? But now we got someone who might be Judah, who you say is explosive like Johnny. I know we got some guys on the wing who will be their ability to one dribble rip, take off, right? Have you seen already the difference in athleticism, and the potential to be a good defensive team? Because again, we play zone. I know Coach say we're going to play man, but let's be real. We play zone. And do you see, guys being able to get in that passing lane, get out, alley-oop dunks? Are you seeing that in practice? Are you seeing shades of that in practice?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think defensively, night and day, we haven't even specifically went into our breakdown in terms of how we, grinding
true.
the zone.
Very early.
Yeah, we've been, concentrating, to be honest with you, a lot on man, because we're going to have to use it from time to time in the season. So, and one of the things is when we do play zone, it's again, like now it's back to that athleticism. We're getting our hands on balls. We're quicker to traps, and which will lead us to, some easy baskets in transition. So, you can totally see it. The crazy thing, just to kind of go back to last year and just to make it fair for those guys. The thing about last year's team is that they executed. They made teams really have to play their best.
You're right.
To beat them. Like on both ends. But it was, just because, some of those guys were not as athletic, so they couldn't make the plays that was needed, but they executed to a certain degree.
Or just not quick enough to get there to that spot, you know what I mean? But they knew they had to get there.
Exactly, and they were close to it, but you know what? But they made teams have to make extra passes, and sometimes,
Oh yeah, no
for us,
question.
when we were long and athletic, you couldn't make the extra pass. Like, you know what I mean? And,
You're
and,
right.
and that
Yeah.
would give us. So I think last year's team take people beat them up a little bit, obviously from what they've been given, their God-given talents, but they executed so well. It's just crazy. But yeah, this
Nah,
year's
they
team
did. They
again.
did.
But this year's team, to really answer it, we get deflections. It's noticeably, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good. It's tough, man. You play defense for 25 seconds and then you just give up a, offensive rebound. Not, you
Hell yeah,
know what I mean?
that's
So
the
that's,
worst.
yeah. Yeah.
We've
So I'm
lost.
glad.
Yeah, so that was the for our Achilles heel. It wasn't really our, like, to be honest, like our defense. We stopped some guys, but it was just one of those things where with the ball, it's some luck into it too, and the ball
True. No
never
question.
bounced our way.
Yeah.
It was 4 or 5 games where the ball just didn't bounce our way. Now we obviously did
Man.
things to put ourselves in those situations, but like the game at Carolina, like right in front of our bench, second
Uh-huh.
half, with Bud and the out of
Villanova.
bounds,
Yep.
like it just so many games. Miami twice, when
Miami
you're in both
Yep.
twice.
Miami,
Wake
Yep.
Forest.
in both
Wake
Miami
Forest?
games, we had,
Yeah, it was
huh?
Wake Forest.
Was it Wake
Wake
Forest too?
Forest, Wake Forest too.
Yep.
So that's 5 games right there where we had control at late in the games where again the ball didn't just bounce our way, and if we win those 5 games, and those teams right there, those are all tournament quality, those are quality wins right there. So we win
Oh,
four of
no
those,
question.
Hell
4 or 5
yeah.
of those games. We right there towards the end, and we win those 2 games in the ACC tournament. Or play a really good Duke team. It could have been a lot different. And
And
luck
Jesse
has
was
its.
hurt.
Yep, and Jess
And
went out
Jesse was
too.
hurt.
So I
That was
mean,
crucial.
big time, big time, big time. Yep.
Hey
So,
Griff, talk about, we talked about Judah already, but talk about some of these other freshmen, because this is a deep freshman class, and it's pretty talented. Like I think it's Judah gets a lot of the press, but there's some other guys, Copeland, Justin Taylor, even
Taylor?
the
Yeah,
redshirt guy,
Taylor.
the big guy. Talk about Bunch. You talk Chris Bunch, I think, right? Talk
yep.
about that whole group right there, and what you think they'll bring to the table.
I think they're all competitive kids. I think they all see some opportunity to play as freshmen. So in terms of them being everyday kids and bringing that competitive nature to practice every day, there's no guy that's different than the other in terms of that. They all bringing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Copeland will be my second surprise in the whole deal, is because of his tenacity. He's very competitive, and he's a big guard. He's 6'6", that he can get in the lane and make plays for other people. He's going to be a very good player for us in terms of future wise, definitely. And when you go to Justin Taylor, Justin is actually coming off his best 2 or 3 practices thus far, and he's shooting the snot out of the ball. One practice he made 9 threes. He made 9 threes in the practice,
6'6".
Joe, and every time, yeah, and he's 6'6", and he's physical. But every time he shot the ball in this practice, one particular practice, I was like, man, it's going in. It's not touching nothing. This is back rim and then back rim. You know what I mean? So it's good that he's gaining his confidence. Chris Bunch is a kid that can really shoot the ball. I think we want Chris to be a little bit more physical in terms, especially playing that forward spot in the zone and being able
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough.
Rebound.
You know what I mean? It's tough. And go up there and go get it. Chris, you know that. Playing that back
Yeah.
into the zone. But in terms of his offense, very good, very very good shooter. He'll be a kid that you really be impressed with, throughout, his time here. And then, Peter Carey, who is a 6'10" pogo stick, man. He
Peter
probably
Carey.
Peter Carey is probably the most athletic kid on our team.
That's the
at
Family
So
Guy,
what
16.
man.
what he
Peter
doing?
Carey. Peter Carey. I know that's
He
off
giving you
topic.
some shades. He got some shades of Wes Johnson because Wes Johnson was like 6'9", pogo, quick jump, quick second jump.
Nah, he not like
Yeah,
West though.
huh? Nah,
He West
he
like
like on
West a whole different.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
as a
not that
player.
type of player.
Oh, he's
Okay,
different.
No,
okay,
but what I'm saying is like on fast breaks in practice, he's putting the ball between his legs and dunking it.
Oh
okay.
Like
man, at 6'11".
like like he's throwing it around his shoulder and dunking it in fast. Like
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. And you
that's
know
what's up.
the amount of like if you think about the amount of tip dunks in practice, you know that he's had thus far, it supersedes what we did last year. Not even close. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where he's going to be a very good player for us. You know, in the future, our future is bright. To be honest, if we could keep these guys here, man, like it can be really bright. Who else is there? Munir, Moo. We call him Moo. Munir, Big Moo, the transfer from Duquesne.
Oh yeah,
Physical
yeah.
guy who's just again like he's one of those guys that just scratching the surface and coming to his own. A guy that you know what he's actually tells me, Coach, don't let up on me. Let me know everything.
That's
Let
what's
me
up.
know the possession, and that's a great feeling. You know, to have in a guy, and especially as assistant coach, because you know he cares and he wants to get better. You know, so but another, he's a physical big fella, man, a man, and he's just starting to scratch the surface. And then you got my Malik Brown, who finishes the class here that we brought in. And Malik is a power forward out of Virginia who he does a little bit of everything and he does it good. He has great hands. He has the ability to pass, you know, as a flash guy or in the high post. He can, you know, take bigger guys off the dribble. He's 6'9". You know, again, like once he continued to be strong, he can run the floor like a deer, man. He is a really good player and a guy that we really like as a staff, as a whole, and I think that he has a really bright future here.
Man,
Well,
that's a
goddamn,
lot of freshmen.
that's the
That's a lot of
last thing to
freshmen.
say.
That's a
Yeah,
lot of freshmen.
but
And transfer
but
just
you
new
got
guys to the program.
yeah,
Yeah.
but think about this. Think about it this way, both of you guys, right? What better coach as a freshman to come play for? Because he gonna let you if
Facts.
you can rock, he gonna let you
He
rock.
gonna let you. No question.
Yeah.
He gonna let you rock, no matter the
No
class or
question.
nothing. You know what I mean? Like so, you know, and it's a and coach is not he won't hesitate. Like you know, if he sees something that he like in you and he trusts you and you do the things to gain his trust, come on, dude. We all know how good a feeling that is when you play for coach.
I
You
was about
know?
to say that's a great feeling. Hey, look, that's a great feeling, man.
You,
To have
you
Man,
coaches,
know?
I done
he
had a
don't even
couple
say.
times.
You just know, like, okay, go ahead and get it done. It's a great feeling.
Yeah,
Having that many
yeah.
freshmen,
No, huh?
having that many freshmen, having that many freshmen, right? It's bound to, hit a freshman wall, if they want to call it that, rookie wall, freshman wall. You could expect some mistakes to be made because it's a whole different ball game here in the ACC at the college level, regardless. Outside of the coaches, do you feel like we're gonna have the guys, the senior leadership, to kind of put them guys under their wing? We got, Torrance, Symir's in there, you know what I'm saying? He'll have to do a good job of doing that. Do you see, Joe's going to have to do a great job of doing that as well with the coaches, the assistants, as we spoke about how important your role is, to help them guys kind of get over some of the hurdles that they may face right before it even happens. Do you see anything so far? Like, are they all good for now? But we know it's going to happen. So how do we kind of make sure that it doesn't last long, or they know that try to help them avoid it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of our senior leadership and how they've been thus far with our guys, they've been phenomenal. The one thing I can say is that you hear Cy voice all practice, and sometimes I'll be like, man,
Love it.
I wish this kid shut up. But you know what? It's one of those things where but it's one of those things where it's needed because it's so many young guys, and he's been through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe. he leads by example, but also too, you hear his voice. You even hear Jeff's voice.
Yeah.
But you hear Sai's voice, and I think that's a big role for Sai, and that's a big role for us.
Yes.
A big needed role, and that's a great thing to have, and that's a testament to Sai's personality too. He's just a phenomenal kid that wants the best for Syracuse University and our program, and especially him being a Syracuse kid, there's an
Yeah.
added incentive to it. So he brings it every day. He leads by example. He's probably the hardest working guy on our team in terms of just being in the gym every day. But he's a vocal guy that really helps our guys out throughout, which is a great thing. I got a funny story aside though, is that it's this one particular practice where he was trying to tell one of the young guys what to do, and I was like, "Yo, Sai, you can't tell somebody what to do if you're in the wrong yourself." Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it was just a joke between us, like, what? And that's and again, like, what he said? He was like, "Oh yeah, my bad, coach. I was supposed to be over here, right?" I was like, "Yes." He was like, we just started to laugh, and we, and that's that's a good thing, because it's not me
Great
yelling
kid.
at him saying, it's dude, like, make sure your shit is tight just as much as everybody else's. Like, excuse my French, But for the most part, 95% of the time, he's been dead on with what he's trying to do and how he's trying to help, and it's a really good thing because the coaches don't really got to say that much.
Yo,
Trying
Griff,
to win, man. It's the
how
last
much?
dance for him. Go ahead.
That's a fact, right? Fact. I want to stay on Samir a little bit. How much do you, I guess, kind of see yourself in him? Because, I mean, I'm not saying your guys' careers are exactly the same. Obviously, you were here 4 years. He transferred in. But you went through a lot of ups and downs, right? You played a lot. You went through the time when you didn't play a lot. You had to be like more of a vocal leader, and you were a guy who had to do everything on the floor. When you had to pass, you were going to create. When you had to score, you could do that. How much do you kind of see yourself and him, and kind of, especially this year, like his role is, like you said, being more of a vocal leader and a guy that kind of, in times when it gets tense, when it gets tight, you got to be that voice of authority on the floor, or on the sideline, not coming from the coaches, that gets everybody back to where they need to be.
Yeah, definitely. I see a lot of myself in him, so, and that's why when I was saying I wish this guy would shut up, it was something that triggered something for me back in the days, and you want to have good. If you want to have good teams, you got to have some type of leadership within your guys, and that your guys, regardless of if that guy's scoring 20 or if that guy's scoring 2, that guy can still get to the guys that he needs to get to in terms of to raise their play in certain situations. And that's why I see myself in size, that he's such a well-likable guy and an everyday guy that he'll be able to, get to guys and help guys, regardless of whatever the situation is. And that, when you look at the best teams in the country, you look at really good programs, they have guys like Sai year in and year out,
No
on top
doubt.
of the talent, on top of the talented team. So I think, and that's an important role and such a big responsibility to have, and I think he's been doing a phenomenal job with it. So hats off to him.
No doubt. Guys have careers off that in the league, in the NBA, having that type of role. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to compare the side, but my man Udonis Haslem has been in the league for an extra 8 years off of doing that. You know what I'm saying?
He's an ambassador. He's an ambassador of the Miami Heat program, and the genius thing about their management and ownership is that they see that, and they know that they have a culture. And some guys go through free agency, guys come and go. You got rookies. We need a stable in our program, and our that can, when that rookie comes on, or that free agent comes to practice or comes to our organization, they know what the expectations is to being a Heat player, and
Yep.
that's what you gotta. That creates consistency throughout your program. That creates
Yeah.
just a lot of that. It'll cut the nonsense out from day one. You need that. And every great program, regardless of whatever sport it is, they have that, and that creates consistency.
Yeah. Keeps that culture intact.
And the culture intact too. Yes, definitely, 100%, definitely. Yep.
Yo, Griff, I know you just said like 15 motherfuckers, and we got like 15 fucking freshmen coming in, yo. So you said that we talked about Samir and Joe and Jesse, but man, at the end of the day, we all know this. You know it, I know it, Chris Joe knows it, fucking Jordan listening, he knows it. Coach Boeheim is gonna play when it gets to it. 7 guys and maybe 8. You feel what I'm saying? And I know this year you talked about a lot of guys who could come in and add value, but when it comes down to it, bro, conference time, when we need to fucking win, what guys are gonna be playing, bro?
You know what? My motto, I say it all the time, and is the cream always rise to the top. Like you can't force somebody being a good player. Like you just gotta. It's consistency throughout. Obviously these practices, and you get the preseason games, and then you play early on. So, and I think the thing that's different from this team than a lot of teams that I've been a part of here at Syracuse is like legitimately you got 9 guys that can honestly play. Like, you know what I mean? And the turnover wasn't as much as it used to be. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's we had a lot of turnover. We had a lot of turnover this year, so it created a situation where coach has the luxury. It's a luxury for coach to have.
That's
No doubt.
Hell yeah.
No doubt.
9 guys. Like, you know what I mean? Whereas we used to have 6 guys coming back, 4 starters and 2 guys that, one guy that played off the bench. And then, you got one, or maybe a freshman that's really talented that you come in and you got to, you play him a little bit. So that'll make up your 7 to 8 guys.
Yeah.
Now, you're bringing in 6 new guys. You got 2 guys that were, that was constant starters who played a lot, who logged a lot of minutes, in Jesse and Joe. Benny was up and down. Cy
Oh man, we
played.
didn't even talk about Benny.
I forgot, man. Come on, we ain't even talking about Benny.
I'm gonna touch on Benny. I'm gonna touch on Benny because I wouldn't let you guys forget about
My
Benny.
fault, Benny. No disrespect either.
I'm saving Benny for the end, for the last.
Damn, we ain't even. My man is like.
You're gonna get my spin on. You're gonna get my spin on Benny and what he means to this team. But just getting back, coach has a luxury. So, and like Chris Joe, when you said, as freshmen, you got ups and downs. So if one freshman might be struggling at this particular moment, we got another one that could come in and give. So we don't have to constantly watch him work through his 5-game struggle. You know what I mean? We can kind of, plug somebody else in, and at that player that's struggling, he can get through his struggles in practice, and again, coach can build our roster in terms of being able to play 9 guys.
Yeah. No, talk about Benny. Talk about Benny.
Okay, it saved the best for last. I purposely didn't put Benny in all that stuff, and I talked about everybody else's because I think, for us to really be a really, really good team, Benny is going to have to be a guy that's come in and, and I'm not even talking about points. I'm not. It's just a mentality that Benny is going to have to bring every day.
Energy and effort.
The ultimate effort. It's like not conceding to letting guys get offensive rebounds on his. I mean, he got to be, if he playing 25 plus minutes, he got to be a no lie, double figure rebounder with two or
Back
three
8 to 10.
blocks, from the weeks out. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it just if he's gonna play those minutes, that production has to come. And if that production come with what we got, the heat that we got, and these young dudes, we can be a special team. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
what I'm saying.
it can be really
And he's gonna
special.
get the
So
opportunity because one thing about coach
yeah,
is he always gonna give you your shot. Okay, you've been here, coach is loyal. So
Right.
Benny, you're gonna get the first go around. He's gonna,
right.
but coach is notorious. He'll say now if you don't take your opportunity, he'll say, well, I gave you a fucking chance and you didn't do anything with it. You know what I mean?
No
So, but
doubt
he's gonna
about
give
it.
you that shot.
Fair is
No
fair.
doubt. Fair is fair, and that's going to happen. And you know what? And he's going to get that, and hopefully he responds in a way that we know he will respond. He's actually been playing really well. He's missed some time, due to like sickness in terms of not feeling well. But and he twisted his ankle early on in preseason practice. So, but for the most part, he's been really good, and he's been somewhat consistent for us. So we just need him to
That's
be
great to hear.
going out to be as consistent as he would ever be in his approach, to be just this tough, hard nosed and no nonsense kid. If he can be that and do that and be a force for us on the boards, we can be really special.
Man, like you said, just consistent with his effort and his energy. You don't even need to worry about like hitting jumpers or scoring for real.
No,
Get all transition buckets, all tip dunks, all putbacks, blocks. Because he's the most athletic dude on the floor every time.
oh,
Like if
definitely.
he should just be flying around, bro. He the one getting the little from the bottom, like getting it off the wing and then just tipping ahead
Yeah.
and then just going out
Yeah.
on some Rudy Gay
Right.
type shit.
Yeah.
And that's the effort that I think, that's the effort that coach wants to see daily. That's what he wants to see, because he knows if he put forth that effort, then, this team can really take off.
Yo, no doubt. Yo, Griff, man. Hold on. First off, before we get out, man, shout out my guy Chris Joe, Dynasty Basketball. I see you got the shirt on over there.
Oh, come on, man. Fresh from practice. We practice 6 in the morning, man. I'm up 4:30. I'm out. Practice at 6 in the morning.
We trying to
Shout
get
out
some
to
juice
Dynasty
guys
Prep.
going. Oh, damn. Who's that, Griff? No way is that Griff.
That's Makai Pfeiffer.
Nah, come on, yo, you got the wrong. That's Tavares Bell. Remember Tavares Bell that played at Rhode Island?
Man, I remember the name. There's something.
He played at Rhode Island, so they got the wrong picture up. Tell your guy to put the other one up. I got the yellow jacket on, you heard?
I've got the right one saved. I clicked the wrong file. Stand by.
Come on, let's go. Come on, I don't want to give this dude no credit. He don't look like
That's
me.
crazy, Jordan. Oh my God. Yo, Griff, man, I'm excited for real about this year, man. Just the
I'll be up
athletes
there,
and the
no doubt.
playmakers. It's gonna be fun to watch, man. I'm wishing you guys the best of luck. I appreciate you hopping on again, and I'm sure we're gonna have
Appreciate you
come
hopping
on
on.
a fucking again.
No
Yes,
doubt.
sir.
And just let me know. I'll make sure that I'm available for you guys. Anything you guys need. I think you guys do a great job. Your perspective
appreciate it.
is crazy, and I love it. It's like I'm not gonna put you up on the scale of what's Steven Jack, the smoke or whatever it is. There you go. There you go. Did you see I look like a 90s rapper getting,
No
in a
question.
photo shoot.
You look like you was signed to
You know
Bad
what I mean?
Boys.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I got the shiny suit on, you heard? Look,
Oh man, that's classic. That's classic Brooklyn right there.
no doubt. Rest in peace to the guy next to me, man. It was James Felton, man. He went to St. John's. He was 6'11", man. He was like KG in terms of like energy and what he brought to the court, man. He just he passed some years ago, but he was such a good dude. One of my favorite guys that I played with in terms of in high school, and just rest in peace to James.
Rest in peace, man.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, we ain't all the
Griff.
smoke just yet, but we up there. We getting there, Griff. We trying to get our shit right, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Come
You're
on,
getting
man.
there. You're
We
getting there.
trying, man.
I can't-
You need to tell Red.
Yeah,
You need to
yeah.
tell Red.
He
You
been
gotta let
ducking
him know,
out.
Red, we need you. Hey, like all the smoke, they
Yeah,
say, let us know who you could get on the show. Your next answer could do whatever. We need Red. We need
right,
Red.
we need. I'm gonna help out getting Red because he can't be ducking y'all. Y'all family. You know what I mean?
He's been
Yeah, we
ducking,
gotta.
coach. He's been ducking. I've got the assistants telling me he's always at practice. He's ducking.
Yeah, nah, we not gonna have that. We gonna get him. We gonna get him.
Appreciate
Nah,
you,
it's
man.
all love. It's
Have a
all
good
love.
one.
Griff, man, good luck, man. We're gonna talk to you soon.
All right, appreciate you. Let me salute you guys. Thank you.
Man,
Yes,
salute.
sir.
You already know we out.